The Portland Trailblazers simply won't stop winning. Sharp and Scoot are rising. Dominating is here. We don't know what to do on the Blazers Focus podcast with this team, but I'm Aaron Fentress. He is Craig Birnbach, and we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff anyway. I'm going to be honest with you, Craig. I'm confused. And the thing that's funny is after every win, when we're in the media room waiting for a player or a coach to come out, we're all sitting around going, what the hell's going on? How is this? What is happening? This is one of the craziest turn on a dime things I've ever covered or ever seen. I've seen teams fall to pieces. Like we can go back locally to the Oregon Ducks. 2003, they beat Michigan and then fell to pieces. 2006, they beat Oklahoma and then fell to pieces. We've seen that, and we've seen the Blazers fall to pieces. But I can't think of a situation where a team looked dead and buried at 13-28, got blown out 4 straight nights. Your best player went scoreless in one of those games, and then all of a sudden, you have the best defense in the league. You're beating Hall of Famers like Dame and Giannis on the same team, Durant and Booker on the same team. Even, not Orlando, the Pacers come in with Halliburton, one of the lead point guards, an all-star. Siakam's been an all-star. Turner's one of the best all-around centers in the league. You hold Halliburton scoreless. Not only was he scoreless, he only took 3 shots. He only took all 3 shots. And he's averaging 20 and 10 or whatever he is. I
texted you the answer.
What'd you say again?
Last night during the game, I texted you the answer. There's only one answer.
Aliens. Alien abduction.
They all switched them out, man. These are all pod people. They're pod people now.
I might have been inspired by that because later that night I texted someone and said, you hired a witch doctor to transform all of these people into something that they weren't supposed to be.
How do you go from Scoot Henderson being like one of the worst three-point shooters,
one of the worst all-around offensive players in the league, period,
stepping up and hitting threes in clutch situations?
He's Scoot Curry, bro.
From 10 games.
He's Scoot Curry.
I think they're going in now. Like I'm down. Like got me. I always quote Bill Murray in these situations. Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. Like what is this? And what do we do with it? Like what now? What now? Like what?
Okay, wait. I'm getting older. Was that Stripes or Ghostbusters?
Ghostbusters.
That was Ghostbusters? Okay. Stripes is one of my all-time favorite. Stripes is one of my all-time favorite movies. We saw it in 8th grade, completely inappropriate. Was watching with my mom in a theater. Anyway. Okay. So let's start with the win last night. So I'm very good at nitpicking things. And I found ways to nitpick a lot of different things, a lot of different wins along the way. There's something, right? Charlotte sat 5 guys. These guys were hurt. This, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Phoenix comes in. They blow out Golden State. They might have been tired the first time. You ran them out of the gym. The second time, it's clearly an overtime game, which you could have lost, right? The Pacers come in. Yes, they played the night before, but so did Portland. But the Pacers come in averaging 116, and they're one of the hottest teams in the league. They started out 9-14, and since were 20-7, including, or 20-6 or something like that, including winning 12 of their last 14. They're one of the hottest teams in the league. And they walked in there and you just clamped them down. 89 points, held them to under 90 points. Chauncey pointed out, that they shoot, 35 to 43s. I looked at it, it's 34.7 per game, held them to 24 because they just couldn't get shots off. And the whole game, I kept waiting, right? I kept waiting for that
because they kept hanging in there.
Right. They got down. They were down double digits for part of the game, and then going into the fourth, they were down 12, and then they got to 6. I'm thinking, Chauncey calls timeout. Go to the bench, sort it out, dominate the rest of the way, blow them out of the gym. And the defense is, let's just start with the defense. Because to me, any team can get hot and shoot well, right? Because they're nice. The Blazers shoot 40-something% from 3. You're like, wow, they're shooting well, but they shoot 32% on the season. But defense is something that if you give the effort and you have the guys, you may have nights where the other team shoots well and they just score a lot of points because they shoot well and they're good. But usually they have to earn it because your defense is at a high level most of the time. And so my thing right now is that if the defense has truly arrived and landed, regardless of what happens this season, you have something going into next season that you can hang your hat on, which means, of course, you have to bring back Billups. But it also gives you a chance the rest of this year to keep this going. They're not going to win 28 of the next 30 games. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they are formidable right now because the defense looks amazing. And I'm asking you, do you think this is going to last, or they're going to go to Denver next week in Minnesota and just get blasted?
So that is possible.
Right.
But what I saw is a team that understands now what it takes. So it's not like Billups changed his defensive strategy. It's like all of a sudden, Scoot is getting his hand on balls. He's stepping into lanes. He's not, letting guys go right in front of his face. Shaden Sharp got benched because he wouldn't play defense.
Right.
And now when he comes in, he's not. I mean, I always say this: there's a way to mask how bad you are defensively. I call it the Allen Iverson defense. Lead the league in steals and get breakaway layups every once in a while, and you earn points back.
Right.
And that's what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like he's getting some steals and getting dunks, which is great because it does two things. It gets the crowd up when you're at home, but it also inspires you to play more defense. I mean, Allen Iverson didn't guard anybody in the half court, but he would lead the league in steals or be close because he would take risks that you shouldn't take risks, but every once in a while it pays off, and that can change the momentum of a game. So at least he's doing that. But
that was his background as a safety in high school for Iverson, by the way. But go ahead.
There he was. And
he played quarterback and safety. Yeah.
And also hit a guy in a chair in a bowling alley. But that's a whole different story.
That was overblown.
That's fine. He was a great athlete. That's all I'm saying. A great athlete. But the one thing that cannot be understated right now is Kamara's defense is ridiculous right now. Ridiculous. And he's doing things where he's taking a guy completely out. You know what I mean? Like, he's locking up guys and then still getting back, making steals. I mean, I don't know if they fouled the Pacers like 87 times on layups, but my God, did they get bodies on them and not get a lot of fouls called. But even Scoot, there was that one play where he fouled, I forget who he did, fouled him so hard on a layup on a putback. And I don't remember seeing that.
Right.
And I was like, well, there you go. You know what I mean? Like, there you go. That's what winning teams do. There are no layups. Everybody who's been around a competitive basketball team, Al Skinner, when I was at the University of Rhode Island, going to practice every day, no layups. Like, that is not allowed. Like, we foul. We do not give guys easy layups. In the NBA, it's almost less than in college because there's certain guys you don't go for because they won't lay it up. They will dunk it.
Right.
And Al Skinner's other rule, he did not like missed dunks. If you can't dunk, lay it in. That's his thing. Don't miss dunks now. I'm just saying, like, that kind of effort when you're seeing that together. And what the Suns tried to do, it actually worked in the sense that they wanted Ant or Scoot to guard Durant. They did everything they could to get that one-on-one matchup. But they played hard, both of them. Now, I will say this, Durant for a while was just eating them up, in the post, going out. But then he missed shots that he usually would make. But I think that comes down to the fact that they're not making it easy. So when you hold the Pacers, I mean, last night, that was so impressive. I kept saying, is Halliburton in? Is he in? Is he in? Now, he played only 25 minutes. He was terrible. He was minus 23. But they just didn't let anybody go. Nuts. I mean, their leading scorer had 17. Siakam had 16. I mean, I'm just very impressed with that. 5 for 24 from 3. And you're like, oh, okay. They shot 42% from 2. This team scores. That's what they do. And I will say this. The Blazers now are 14-13 at home. I've always said this, and I've got a lot of experience with this, rooting for a bad NBA team. But win at home. You know what I mean? Give me effort at home. Give me a reason to be able to watch some games and feel some energy. we were just talking over like, you know, the holiday, how people are like, I've never seen the Rose Garden. I'm sorry, I went old school. But that
Moda
empty.
Center, that empty.
And with no energy.
So one of the Suns
now
games,
there's energy at least.
The second Suns game, I think it was like 15,000, and someone who's new to the Blazers, who works for the Blazers, made the comment of like, "Well, that's not bad, is it?" To me and Jason Quick, and we looked at each other, and I said, "Yeah, they're new. They're new here." Yeah. And so this person's only been around since the tanking and losing began, and so they've never really experienced what Blazer Mania and Rip City is like when people are jacked up about the team. Now the energy was there clearly because they were beating the Suns, but the place was nowhere near packed. Now, you bring up a great point in terms of people being interested maybe now in this team, and so we'll see how attendance, if it blows up, if people with season tickets can all of a sudden get face value as opposed to taking a bath,
or
right?
want to go.
Or just want to go. Yeah, exactly.
Better yet, back in the day, no one gave up their season tickets.
Yeah,
because they wanted to go. They wanted to see, and
they're
Dame score 60.
This is an entertaining team, and what's. I asked Chauncey about this last night because Denny and Ayton didn't have tremendous nights offensively. They didn't put up the numbers that they've been putting up in a lot of games during this stretch. But clearly they do other things, right? And but they didn't skip a beat offensively. They still scored a lot of points because, and we've seen this, the scoring spread around. There was one night against Phoenix, they had 7 guys in double figures, whereas the 2 Phoenix stars combined for 53, and no one else I think was in double digits. And Chauncey talked about how like that's how we are as a team. You can't single in on any 1 or 2 guys because all of us are playing our roles. And so therefore, when opportunities come to us, we're ready to take advantage as opposed to someone jacking up a bunch of shots and being the focal point, and then everyone else gets lost. And we saw an example of that last night where, a few nights ago, Denny scoring 28 and then 30, and then Ayton just had 25 and 20 and was dominating for a while. And then they combined for what? Under 20 points combined? 16 points, I think, combined? 14. I think Ayton had 8 and 14. Yeah, they combined for 14.
And Denny offensively was horrible.
Yeah, he didn't get
he was 2 for 9, 1 for 6, 5 turnovers.
Right, and what he was terrible about it, but he didn't shoot 16 times while playing that badly. He just did other things and let other guys take the burden. So it's really an example of really fun, what I consider a pretty fun, exciting team basketball on both ends of the court. And so you feel like you're watching a team where you have 8 guys, none of them are all-star caliber. None of them are going to come in and average 30 a night, but all of them are capable of scoring 20 in the blink of an eye at any given time. And that makes you pretty tough to beat, especially if you're getting it done on defense.
Yeah, they won last night because of defense. I mean, that's it. They scored 112 points and they scored, 33 and 34 in the second, third and fourth quarters because in the first
half was 45-38, something like that.
Yeah, it was 45-38. They were both terrible. But the thing that this team is doing, which is what you want a young team that doesn't have a star on it, they are getting their energy from the defense. They're getting stops that are turning into points on the other end, whether on the fast break. I mean, because that's the one thing about Denny, Turbo. They can get a stop, he goes. I mean, I mentioned Sharp. He had 3 steals last night, and it led to 2 dunks, breakaways. That gets you up. I can't remember DeAndre Ayton, since he's been a Blazer, get a steal and a breakaway dunk before. That was crazy. And what's he doing out there doing that? Like that is not a thing you see very often. Centers getting steals and breakaway dunks. So that to me is what makes a crowd enjoy it. It makes a fan enjoy it when you're like, okay, the defense is transitioning into exciting moments on offense. And they took some terrible shots, like when the game was at like 4 and 6. I was talking to you about it. Like you're like, Shane, do not shoot. Oh, that went in. Great shot. But that's what young guys are going to do. But Chauncey Billups is pushing all the right buttons. I mean,
he was hired to fix the defense. It took a while because of all the changes, right? and injuries and things like that. But this is what Neil Olshey was envisioning or hoping to see when he hired Chauncey. And now we're seeing it. We've seen it in pockets and pieces here and there. The start of Dame's last season, they started out playing really well on defense, and then injuries hurt them, et cetera, et cetera. But we're seeing it with this group. And he finally has a bunch of length. He really wanted
they're huge
guys like Tumani, guys like Denny, who's 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", to go along with someone like Grant.
Long.
Yeah. So whereas when he came here, you had Dame, CJ, and Powell. All really good players, but all three together on your defense, not so formidable.
Now they're the tallest team in the NBA.
Right, exactly. Okay, so the first time they've won 9 out of 10 since the end of the last time they made the playoffs, the 2020-21 season. They're 4 games out of 9th. And there's a tie for 9th coming into today between the Suns, Mavericks, Warriors, and Kings. Do we even dare?
I don't know.
You're within 4 games. You're within striking distance. You just are. And the Suns are talking about trading Durant maybe, and they just don't look good anyway, right?
No.
Which we're going to talk about later. How the Blazers have destroyed the Suns in more than one way. The Warriors might not be able to add anyone. And I don't know.
They might add Durant.
Yeah, I mean that would kill the Suns, but make it almost a guarantee that the Warriors would be 9th, right? That still opens up 10th. The Kings, are they better with Levine over De'Aaron Fox? I don't know.
I feel they're probably about the same.
Now Dallas is about to make a run though, so Dallas is definitely going to climb up. I think
they were going to climb up one way or the other, but now I think they totally damn well better climb up.
Yeah, I think they totally improved moving Luka for Davis. But I think it's worth talking about right now. But here's what I think is going to happen: they got at Denver twice next week and at Minnesota, right? And then they have some tough games coming up. There's no way this team became a dynasty overnight. So the 9 of 10 is going to fall. They're going to fall back. So they're going to have a stretch. Let's say they have a stretch where they go 5-5. If 2 of those teams ahead of them go 7-3 during that stretch, now all of a sudden you're 6 or 7 games back with 20 games to go. You're not making that up. So I do think there's going to be a backslide, and a couple of teams are going to surge, and then boom, you're too far out of it. But as of this moment right now, they're in it. But do they want to be in it, Craig?
No, absolutely not.
But here's the danger of where they are right now. You're in a situation where
it's crazy.
If you have turned the corner, not to the tune of winning 90% of your games, but if you have turned the corner and you're now good, you're going to play well enough to be the 11th, 12th pick and still not get into the postseason. So this is what I told you last time. It sucks. Bad.
It sucks when you're rooting for a team where winning could be detrimental. And it's detrimental to them because they're good. Their best case scenario is a play-in and then get smoked. You know what I mean? Like, they're not good enough. But I don't think that's going to happen. But I still think
let me correct they'd be worse. The worst they could be would be 10th pick because 20 would be in the post. Well, yeah, because 20 would be in the.
And don't they have to give up their pick?
No, they give up their pick if they made the playoffs, not the postseason.
Right. So if you make the play-in,
16, you make the play right. Then you have a chance to, right, and then the pick goes to my Bulls. By the way, so let's go Blazers. No, but you
can't do that.
The Bulls are unloading. So
that would be devastating.
Could you imagine? But okay, let me look at this thing here real quick.
I can right now.
All right. So right now they've already fallen to 8th or risen to 8th ahead of Philadelphia, and the Bulls are doing a fire sale, so they're going to sink like a stone. So that pushes you to 9th and lets you sink as well. You are 5 wins ahead of the Nets, who are 6. Are you going to be able to lose 6 more games than them? So no. So the best case scenario really is 7th if you're able to fall and hope Philadelphia tries to get into the play-in, which I imagine they will. If they're healthy, they're going to try to keep winning to get in the play-in. So maybe you can move down to 7 again, but I think the Bulls are going to pass you.
You're an Embiid sneeze away from them tanking too.
True. Yeah, you are. True. So I think right now they're going to end up probably, I mean, we'll see what Atlanta does. They just lost Johnson. I think best case scenario you're looking at is 8 and probably going to end up being 9, depending on what happens with Philadelphia. So it still puts you in the mix, right? But it's not as attractive as 4 or 5, clearly. But that ship has sailed. When they were 13 and 28 and they lost 4 games in a row by 96 combined points, whatever it was, it still seemed like they could get into that bottom 5. Since then, 9 and 1, and that ship has sailed.
You can't go 9 and 1 and be one of the worst 3 teams in the NBA because you've already won more than half the games that those teams are going to finish with. Like somebody's going to finish with 16 wins. Like 17 wins. Like it's they're going to take the crap out of it. So
right,
yeah, it's so bizarre because like, what do you do with it? Other than, in a way, you just got to let it go and enjoy it and say, my goal is to watch my team and enjoy it. And I'd much rather watch us win than lose. But at some point in time, all right, we're going to nitpick and try to find some negative, which I don't want to do. But there is part of me that watches DeAndre Ayton and Grant and even a little bit of Simons play with all this energy right now, right before a certain date. And if the trading deadline comes and goes and they're still here, is that really what they want? I mean, if I'm Jeremy Grant, I don't. If I'm Jeremy Grant, I'm playing my tuchus off because everyone's told me that I read that he's had such a bad year and he has one of the worst contracts in the NBA. He's impossible to trade. And he's like, whoa, I can only control one thing, and that's my effort. And I got to show people he's defensively been balling out.
Right.
Even when he wasn't offensively balling out, defensively he was. Because to me, he's like, I'll show him that I could be that piece. I can't do anything about my contract, but I could do that. No one understands Ayton, right? Like, you just don't know. I mean, you have a 25 and 20 game. You're like, oh, this guy, Nurkic had the 25 and whatever 20 game when he did that whole 5 and 5, and we were dreaming up all-star games. So it's bizarre, but that's my worry is that if even Williams, when he's played, has made a difference at some point, like what do they do and what do the Blazers do with them?
Right. So let's segue into that because, so one of the things that was relayed to me before the season started was that, they expected they wanted to play hard, compete, develop, but expected based on the roster that they likely would not, make the postseason, make the playoffs, and would be in position to be near the bottom to have a shot at a high pick. But if everything clicked and they became good, then so be it. Because that means that guys are getting better, right? That means you're seeing what you want to see. Because the only way that's going to happen is if all the players who struggled last year are healthy and elevate. Now, last year they won 21 games with 370 games missed by injury and tanking and all that. It's just crazy situation they went through. And so my feeling coming in, and I said that to people with the Blazers whom I talked to about all this, that if you guys are healthy and anyone makes any kind of jump, you're going to win 30 games. You won 21 last year without even trying for half the season. And with so many injuries, you didn't know what to do with yourselves. And so they've remained healthy. And I mean, as of a month ago, I'm thinking, who on this team has evolved other than, Denny started turning things around. Kamara was great on defense, but everything else Ant was regressing. Grant was regressing. Ayton wasn't doing anything. Scoot, oh my God, he wasn't doing anything. And now all of a sudden, everyone's doing something. Like everyone's a baller. So, yes, you're probably going to miss out on a Cooper Flag, but if Danny is legit and Tumani is legit and Scoot's going to be legit and Sharp's going to be legit and Ayton's going to be in the middle of all of it, then you already in a position moving forward where you have a roster that if you add to properly is going to be a playoff roster down the road. Now, is it going to be contender? I need to see an all-star first before I go there. But you could be in danger, Craig Birnbach, of just settling into being a middling team.
Which is what every Blazer fan said they didn't want anymore.
Right. But if you're going to move past that without drafting high enough to land a sure star, you either got to trade for one or sign one, which we know has been tough to do in Portland, or you still need someone on the team to become that guy. And you still have guys on the team who might be. I mean, dude, Scoot Henderson is Scoot Curry right now. And remember, his shooting stretch started at the beginning of the 4 losses before winning of 9 and 10. So he's been doing this for 14 games for the most part. And so, is he going to shoot 47% of the rest of the season from 3? No. But if he shoots 40 or 39, wow, you have yourself a pass-first point guard who can kill you with the 3. So he elevates to someone who can be a potential franchise guy down the road. And then the same thing with maybe Sharp as well. So maybe ultimately they'll have that guy within, but I'm afraid that they could end up in a situation where what we're seeing is them going from bad to solid, and then they get stuck right there without having a true star to build around.
Yeah, and the truth is you usually have to get one star on your own before you can get another one.
Right.
That's how the modern NBA is. You know, like
because who's going to want to come here if they're not pairing with someone else?
At least one. I mean, the Blazers got a bunch on. You know, you could say LaMarcus and Dame, Brandon Roy, and and LaMarcus. Like you could see even CJ was close, but I'm just saying like they were never able to land a star in a trade with the last group. Now before that, they were able to get like Scottie Pippen, and they were, but the Blazers have never been able to sign a free agent to just come and be an impact guy who elevates you by 8 wins.
But
even like the Lakers in the last regime, you got LeBron and AD. You know what I mean? Like,
and then you just got Luka,
we know about
right
now you got Luka. But I mean, like all about the big 3. Threes and the 2s.
Yeah.
But you usually gotta. No one wants to come and be the one unless they're drafted.
Fair.
So that's hard.
Now,
and I don't see it yet.
Imagine with all these stars on the move, if the Blazers still had Dame, would they be a team that someone might say, I want to go there? Because Middleton just got traded. Butler might get traded. Durant's thing has been thrown around. Obviously, we just saw Luka and the Davis thing. Well,
we do know that Durant and Dame had that relationship, where they
right.
So that would have been a possibility, I think, especially now in Durant's career if they were still at the cusp, because I think he and Dame match. They were perfect. They're a great combination. Just because anybody's a great combination with Kevin Durant. So like there's that. But they're different. One's 7 feet, one's guard, and but I hate thinking about it. I mean, we were just joking about. Well, imagine if they had Hero, and they made that on this team because they still could have had with that trade. They still could have had Ayton. Now they have too many guards.
And Kamara and Denny.
Right. So you might have, and then what are you doing? I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
You can't go back there. You have to think about what you have now.
It's just interesting. Yeah, it's just interesting only because there's been so much player movement since everything went down with Dame that you think maybe they could have got one of those pieces to add to it. But now can they get a star caliber player to come to this team? Can you dangle the Bucks pick and swap with whatever to get someone to come here eventually? We'll see. But right now, because of how well you're playing, the odds of you getting a star in this coming draft, not very good. And the odds of you now maybe making the playoffs next season, which then you finally lose your first round pick to the Bulls, which you still owe them, but it's top 14 protected or whatever it is. So you're not going to have that pick. So you're going to have to acquire someone some way or hope someone on this roster becomes that guy. They're playing well as a team, but I just don't see the quote unquote generational 10-time all-star on this team yet, who's going to be the face of the franchise that leads you into, being a top 4 seed in the conference. Anyway, so let's transition now to the trade deadline tomorrow. It's Thursday. We're recording this on Wednesday. The rumors out there around the league are just wild. And I swear to God, man, I want Trump to sign an executive order of all the ridiculous orders he's signing. Sign one that says you can't tweet that a team has had discussions about somebody. Okay. Can we eliminate that? That's the dumbest report imaginable. Every team in the league has some sort of discussion about almost every player in the league. And the discussion could be, what do you think? Should we maybe make a move for Zion? I don't know, man. I don't really trust him. Okay. So-and-so had discussions about Zion. Boom. We got to get rid of those. But there have been a lot of substantiated rumors, legit rumors that I think have legs. And we've seen some trades play out already. So there's a lot of movement out there.
And here's what you do know. If you don't hear it, it could happen.
It could happen too, right? Right.
Because LeBron James didn't know Luka Doncic was going to be his teammate.
Exactly.
So that's what I always say. The ones that happen are the ones that don't leak.
A lot of times. But what we're not seeing at all are any discussions about the Blazers, which could fall into what you just stated, that maybe there's secret stuff going on. But what I'm being told, I'm not being told nothing's going to happen. I'm being told that it's not likely. And there's a lot of levels to that. The number one level is that the Blazers, if you've truly turned the corner with this group, then it's not just about developing the youngsters for the future, because the youngsters are a part of the present and still a part of the future, but the veterans you got are helping you win. So if the Cooper Flag thing is done, then you're not going to just give away your good players who are helping you win. You're not going to trade Grant for a couple seconds. You're not just to move him out of the way. You're not going to trade Ant for a couple seconds. You're not Robert Williams even. Why am I going to give up Robert Williams for a couple second round picks when he only makes $13,000 a year and he can come back? I can trade him in the summer or and bring him back because he might be a good piece for us moving forward to help us win next year. So I think some fans are going to be disappointed because it's all this crap about they should be getting rid of this person so they can start scoot and shade. It's just so nonsensical. Those guys will start when they earn the right to start, but they're coming off the bench as ballers. They combined for 34 and 12 and 9 last night coming off the bench. So I just don't believe there's a lot of heat on the Blazers players, and I don't think they're going to give away someone for chump change just to move them.
So I think, I like to say, two things can be true. And I will say the other reason why there's no heat on the Blazers players, because their contracts are not ones that are great to move right now.
Ant is, though. Ant has the best contract. He's only making 24. Sort of. He still makes 1 year remaining.
At 25 plus.
At 25. He's 25 years old, making he's making 24 this year, I think 25 next year. That's nothing. That's chump change.
So you say that, but with that second apron, and you say that, who's going to be able to take that $25 million and fit? Well, they would give back. They would give back. Right. You got to have a piece. Money they had to give back, and then a pick. And a pick. Right now, I'm not so excited about that trade because I don't know if Ant's my lead guard on a championship team. I don't know. It's not been a year for me to say yay. If I'm Orlando, I'm like, whoa, I got to find a $25 million to match and give you a first round pick for this guy. I don't know about that. And
when you have Suggs, right?
Right. So where's that fit? And Grant's contract's terrible. I don't care. I mean, right now, I hated that contract from day one. I tried to get convinced that you got to pay somebody something, but now I'm like, this guy is not even a starter on a playoff team. And he's got too many years and too much money on that contract. So I would get off that contract for 2 second rounders. I mean, I really would. And Robert Williams, the dude doesn't play. He's never played more than 61 games. He's played 17 games for the Blazers in 2 years. Why would someone give you a first-round draft pick? Now, if the Lakers are desperate enough because they need a center and even 20 minutes of Robert Williams is better than they have, and they need to do something. Like if you could get a first-round draft pick, no matter how low, you do it. But I think that this stuff about like you need them to win, like, yeah, if your plan's to be mediocre, if your plan's to be stuck in that spot, but I don't need Jeremy Grant to get me to 32 wins. You know, like I don't care about that as a Blazer fan or if I'm working, for the Blazers, I'm in the front office. I'm like, no. I need Denny Avdia.
But if you think you've turned things around, you're thinking next year you're going to win high 40s.
But I'm not going to do it with Jeremy Grant in the end. So why? I got to get something because he's not good enough. He's not good enough right now.
We just talked about his defense.
He has stepped it up, but his offense has been terrible most of the year, and he has been inconsistent.
It's been better lately. But
yeah, but I'm just saying he's not worth $35 million a year. Like just isn't. And I know I'm not going to win a title next year. I need to play my younger guys and let them grow and see if they're going to be that good. So I would move Grant. Just get me pieces. And he's not helping because I don't need to win. I don't want to win 30 some odd games. And if I do get better, is Grant playing? Is he? I mean, I don't know. They've won without him,
They have?
Yeah, they won that little, stretch there. He didn't play all these games, right? 9 out of 10 with the broken face. That one broken, but I don't know. I mean, I just feel like when you have Kamara and you have
a broken face.
Well, I'm just saying he's out for a long time for a bruised face. I want Sharp to start eventually, right? I mean, I can't
He's not starting over Grant, though. He's starting at the 2. If he starts, he's starting at the 2.
Right, but Kamara,
you say he starts at 2, and then I got you. And then Kamara But I don't know. Okay, I'm looking at this right now.
I don't want my future to have. I need Sharp to start. I need Avdia to start. I need Kamara to start. So I don't want Grant in my starting lineup. Like now, I don't even want him in my starting lineup.
Grant has played in 8 of these 10. Grant has played in 8 of these 10 wins.
Okay, but he didn't play great in some of them. One of them, he barely played at all.
At 18, 12, 22, 2 in the loss. 8 against the Bucks.
Well, then 20. I knew he didn't play it barely.
Well, then 20, 14, 20. So
yeah, he's been better than I thought.
Yeah,
because the loss is where he stuck it up.
And his defense, which Chauncey has praised him for. I'm just saying. I'm not giving him away to clear minutes for Tumani and Denny. I'm keeping him. But
here's the thing. What are you going to get? Like, what are you going to get for him ever?
Well, I might not get anything ever, but then I'm going to keep him.
Oh, I want that money.
Because he's a good player. Why?
I want that money. Bye. Like I want.
What are you
going
to do with it?
Well, I get.
The money's not going to go bye. You're going to have to take back. You're going to have to take back money, though, Craig.
Yeah, but you don't have to take it back in one player. You chop it up.
It depends on who you're trading them to, because people over certain aprons can't do certain things. But what I'm saying to you, what I'm saying to you is
you only have to take it back. You only have to take it back from a team that needs to give it out. Obviously, no one's going to be able to just absorb 30. His contract.
That's almost every team, though.
I know that's why he's not getting traded. Like no matter what we say right now, it doesn't matter because he can't get traded. Because no one can.
To your point, though, teams aren't going to take on that big contract and give you a first. Like the Bulls, the Bulls fans are freaking out because they got next to nothing for Levine. They got the protection taken off of their own pick, right? And then they got Zach Collins, Trey Jones, and Huerter. How do you pronounce his name?
Yeah,
Huerter.
Yeah, he can shoot.
And now they're trying to trade those 3. And so, but what they did get is they got rid of $95 million.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is that you may have to do something like that. But if I'm the Blazers, I'm not taking 3 guys like that just to get rid of Grant when Grant is a part of the reason why I've turned the corner. And if I'm going into next year thinking we have a chance to make the playoffs, your chances of making the playoffs lessen if you just get rid of Grant for nothing. I'd rather have those 3 forwards in the rotation than move Grant and then be looking for another forward. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it's a moot point because you don't have Zach Levine. You know what I mean? Like you're not trading a player that people want.
There's levels to it, but at the end of the day, we're talking about giving away a contract. We're talking about giving away a contract for nothing. You're saying you would do that for Grant. I'm saying I'm not going to do that. The Bulls did it because the Bulls are doing a complete teardown now. The Blazers are no longer in a complete teardown. So what I'm saying is if I'm going to next season, if I've turned it around and I'm going into next season, and I think we have a chance to make the playoffs, I'm keeping Jeremy Grant. Unless I get a really good deal.
So what I'm saying is no one wants Jeremy Grant to do that. So it doesn't matter.
No one wants the contract. So it does matter.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So Zach LaVine is still, are
we not talking about the same thing or no?
The Bulls.
You're saying dump Grant. I'm saying keep Grant.
No, but who did the Bulls get rid of?
LaVine.
Who people wanted. Because he's worth the money. Because he's an all-star caliber player.
I'm not talking about other teams. I'm not talking about other teams' interests. I'm talking about what the Blazers should want to do.
I know, but you need a partner. You need somebody to want the guy.
I don't know why we're disconnecting on this. That's not the point. You're saying you dump Grant.
Right.
For whatever.
What I'm saying is the reason why Zach LaVine was able to be moved is because the Kings looked at him as a future piece, willing to pay that contract to play and lead their team. No one's looking.
Okay. We're going like this right now. What you're talking about right now has nothing to do with what I'm saying.
Who are you going to trade Grant to? As I'm saying, who wants him?
Right.
For
you
that?
and I both. You and I agree on that. But you said you would just dump Grant for whatever.
I would get rid of him because I got to get rid of him at some point.
Okay, and I'm saying I wouldn't do that because I want to try and win next year, and Grant's going to help me do that.
I'm saying it doesn't matter what I want because it's not an option.
Okay, and that's fine. That's a different conversation.
We're on. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't feel like I have to really think about it too hard because nobody wants it. But at the same time,
I disagree. I think someone out there with another bad contract that matches would say, "Fine, here, take this bad contract. We'll take Grant. We'll give you a couple seconds." But they're not going to do that and give you first. Right. That's what I'm saying. And that contract could be shorter. They could do it for someone who maybe only has 1 year left instead of 3. That could be a thing. But anyway, all right. So we both agree that
I want it expiring. I want to get rid. I just want that money. I want that space because I want to be able to move around. Maybe sign some players if it in a miracle, or make a better trade where I have the space.
Right.
And I'm not trying to, dump one big contract.
Right. It's going to be tough.
I think that the Blazers don't have pieces that match up with people right now. Except for I do think Robert Williams has a chance. Because his contract is really good. What is it, like $12, $13 million? And he will fit. He's worth that for a team that thinks they can get there, even if he only plays 17 minutes a game. Because he's a difference maker. And there's plenty of people that need that one last piece I don't know, like the Knicks, they could use that kind of thing. The Lakers obviously need that. There's tons of teams that are feeling they're on the cusp, that if we had a guy that could play defense, a big man that could play defense, that could rebound and can dunk and doesn't try to do anything else but dunk, that works for me. But the injury status is tough. That's tough.
Man, he's on though. He's fun to watch. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about this real quick, Ben, because the Phoenix Suns had to have left Portland thinking we messed up. What's the scene? What's the movie? The Hangover? And the guy's on the phone. It's like, man, we have tough. They got their butts kicked twice. Well, one went overtime. But in the overtime game, Ayton had 20 and 20. And Kamara had 18 and whatever he had. It was draining threes. If the Suns had those two guys, right now, they would be one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the West. Because they're missing a center and they're missing a 3-and-D defender with length. It's one of the worst outcomes for a trade that we've seen in a while, because the guys they got, they benched Nurk.
Yep.
Nasir isn't even on the team anymore, and neither is Keon Johnson. That is tragic. And you end up with Durant, Beal, and Booker, and now Beal's coming off the bench. And that trio just doesn't work. It's mind-boggling. And if they're talking about trading Durant, I think they should absolutely move Durant. 100%. You're done. See what you can get for him. So you can get back some picks that you gave up to get him in the first place. But the Blazers destroyed the Suns. That trade, which we have to give major credit to Cronin for how that's playing out right now. When it's, before it looked like, oh, they got Kamara, but Ayton is just not going to be great. But right now he looks good. Is he going to keep it up? It's only been 6 games. We'll see. But holy moly. With Nurkic, that's just so bad for the Suns.
When you're looking at Nurkic on the bench, that's after he started. They didn't get him to
decent season last year too. And this year he came in as a starter, but he was playing horribly.
Well,
how you shoot 45% as a center? Come on.
They agreed with you because as soon as they left, Kevin Durant became doubtful for the next game, and the rumors started. So
the latest say they're not going to move him, but we'll see. But
maybe they won't. But certainly they left thinking we're not close. The whole thing is a mess. They got Bradley Beal coming off the bench. That's not what you want.
To be fair, they were playing well. I can't remember what they were doing.
Yeah, but they were actually
playing better. But they're clearly not. If they go up against a team that's athletic and younger, like OKC, they're just going to get rolled. Because Durant's not the same guy he was at 30, 29.
No, he missed shots that I was shocked.
Yeah,
I was just shocked.
Good. He's clearly good, but he can't be your number one. And Booker's having a down season. It's just crazy.
Yeah, but I think the reason why Booker's having a down season, maybe Durant looks the way he looks, is because of what they're surrounded with. I don't even think they match up. They're not a great pair.
Right.
They do very similar things.
But it's very rare you see a team make a trade and then have the principal players they gave up end up being exactly what they're missing they falter.
At least for 2 weeks. At least for 2 weeks. The Ayton thing, there was a lot to the Ayton thing. You know what I mean?
But even if Ayton was just regular Ayton, he's still better than what they have at center.
Well,
you see what I'm saying?
That trade was made because, maybe something similar to Luka. They didn't want to be in the DeAndre Ayton business.
Right.
You know what I mean? They just didn't want him because that's not a lot to get for him. And they just wanted him out. And my guess is their 2 stars wanted that. And now they don't want to be in the Nurkic business, which, to Blazer fans, not shocking. Inconsistent effort, right? Strange decisions on the court at times. Shocker. You didn't trade for the steadiest player in the world. You traded for a guy that, is known for his up and down, and they thought, oh, we'll fix him. And they didn't.
True. He got irritated with us the other day because we asked him about his performance in the 25-20 game. He's like, man, I've been doing this. You guys keep asking me about my performances. I'm pissed, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wait, what? You're going to pretend like you haven't been up and down and, sometimes not engaged and that now you're fired up and playing? Well, of course we're asking you about it because everyone's wondering if this is you turning the corner. This is you doing what Lowry did at Utah, right? You all of a sudden becoming the guy who plays like he's capable of playing. When he's on and engaged, he is an impact big, period. Yes. And his efficiency rate, when he gets that mid-range jumper going, he doesn't need 20 shots to get 25 points or 15 shots. He can do it on 8 of 12 because he if he's not taking bad shots, he's taking good. So that's why we're all asking about it, because if this is you coming of age with this team, then the Blazers are in an amazing spot because it's really difficult to find impact big men. The Blazers haven't had one since Aldridge left. So that's why I keep asking about it, because I want to know, are you here? Is this guy here to stay? Right? Is he here to stay?
Well, it wasn't the direct trade. What's that?
I was going to say, his point was, I've been waiting for them to catch up. The rest of the team to catch up to who he was. So in his mind, but here's the thing. Let me make
That's
this
fine.
point. Let me make this point though. So he was on the Suns. It was Paul Booker, right? Then Booker Durant around him. So he was the third guy, right? Did he? Yeah, he played 1 year with Durant. So he was the third guy. So he had to take the back seat as a third guy. And so he was a role playing big on that team. So he comes here, and he's not necessarily a guy who's going to step up and say, I'm the number one guy, jump on my back. In his mind, he's waiting for the youngsters to get to the point where they can even play on his level and the level he's played at on a team that went to the finals. So if now he feels like the group around him is worthy of his dominating services, now he's willing to unleash them.
Well, it's hard to argue with that right now.
This is my interpretation of right. And so if that's the case, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because not everyone. It was my problem with Rasheed. Not everyone has that Kobe, Jordan, Magic, Bird, LeBron. I didn't even give Durant. Durant ran to Golden State because he didn't have that. That gene in you where you are like, I'm the guy, get on my back, let's go. But if he's on a team where things are functioning properly, within that function, he can find his role, and that role can be pretty impactful. That's what I'm saying.
And teams in the NBA, it's hard to win without that guy, and it's not always even your best player. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's just the dude that's this is my time. Like,
right.
I mean,
like Chauncey wasn't a dominant force, but Chauncey was a dominant personality and dominant attitude and dominant leader. And then his really good basketball abilities shine within that role and the team concept, right?
Even when you looked at the Heat teams, Dwayne Wade was kind of that dude.
Yeah.
Even when LeBron was there.
Even when LeBron got there, Wade was still right.
And obviously LeBron's better than Dwayne Wade, but no, there's guys that have it, and sometimes it's shocking. Like Jalen Brunson seems to have it.
Right.
And the Mavs didn't know.
LeBron was the alpha talent, but Wade was the alpha leader with elite talent. Yeah. All right. We're getting along here.
And I'll just say this, like your guys, the difference between Scottie Pippen's all-time great, but he wasn't Michael Jordan.
Right. Because if he had been, with just the mentality of Michael Jordan, he doesn't let the Blazers blow that 15-point lead at the Lakers.
And Tony Kukoc
he gets to the line. If you just get to now you're making me mad.
No,
you just get to you have someone who can just get to the freaking line. You stop that run, but they couldn't anyway. I was so mad. And
Tony, I'll just say this: Tony Kukoc never takes a shot in the clutch. You don't have to worry about your headache.
True. All right. Before we go, we got a fact or Fentress. We're bringing it back because I'm pumped up covering this team again. I'm pumped up. Okay, I haven't decided on whether or not this is a fact or not. So I'm on the fence, but I thought it was just interesting thing that popped in my head. All right. Fact or Fentress, and Fentress is on the fence. At some point in the future, Scoot Henderson and DeAndre Ayton will lead the Blazers into a playoff series, not a play-in game, a playoff series as a starting point guard and starting center.
Wow. That's a great question.
That has layers.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Hell no.
Hell no.
Today. Maybe.
I mean, what are we saying? So think about all the things that have to happen. Scoot has to become the starter, which means Ant probably gets moved. They have to keep Ayton, right? Scoot keeps ascending. Ayton remains what he is the last 6 games. And then those two are starters surrounded by Sharp, Denny, Tumani. And in 2 years, it's not going to happen. I don't think it'll happen next year, but 2 years, boom, they're to the point where they're a 1-2 punch and they got the Blazers in the playoffs. Maybe they go play in to get there, but
I'm going to say fiction.
Okay.
But
which side's not going to happen?
That the two of them are going to be together.
Well, which one's going to be gone? You think both might be gone, or?
I'm not going to play that. I'm just saying that 1 or 2 is not going to work out. Like, I don't know which one. Okay. I feel there's more weight on, there's more weight on Scoot's side because if Scoot develops, continues to accelerate and is, a starting point guard on a playoff team, then a lot of that has to do with him and Ayton working together. But I'm going to say fiction because you're making me choose, and I can't just let 2 weeks change everything in my brain.
Fair.
And it has to be too perfect. And it means Scoot could be really good and Ayton could just leave, before they get there. And that's why I'm going to weigh that way, because I do not trust completely that suddenly Ayton is the future.
Right. Okay. Fair. That was a good one.
But that was a good one because 2 weeks ago, like, I wish you would have asked that 2 weeks ago and then brought it back.
You'd have laughed at me 2 weeks ago. All right, that's it for the Blazer Focus podcast. Are we coming back after the deadline? We coming back Friday?
If they do something, right?
If they do something? All right,
I'll be around.
We'll come back soon regardless. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you later.